On Zoom, we have Roxanne, George, Jennifer Pack, Marissa, and Hannah.
Hey, Jennifer, how you doing?
You're muted, Jennifer.
Sorry. Hey, how are you?
How are you? Would you
Doing
like to
good.
share? Would you like to share something you're grateful for in this learning journey so far at Keller Williams?
Whoa. I'm just grateful for this opportunity. Truly, I'm grateful for the people I'm meeting, and I'm grateful for learning all the things I'm learning.
Awesome. All right, today we're going to focus on how to cultivate your leads into seller opportunities. Okay, y'all have seen this 100 times. The secret of being a successful real estate agent. What do you think the secret is? Good try. Do you know there is no secret? Success leaves clues, so we know exactly what successful agents do every day. Every day, agents do two types of activities. You grow your business and you run your business, right? So y'all have seen this a lot. All right. So every day we lead generate for buyers and sellers. Just by being here today, you're getting training and coaching. So we're going to set some goals for your business. We're gonna learning module objectives today is set a meaningful goal and complete a 411 with steps to move forward to that goal. Today's going to be fun. We're going to cover setting goals, part of running your business. To do that, we're going to answer a couple of big questions, guys. Where do you want to go? And what's your motivation? And last but not least, how do you get there? So, where do you want to go? What's your motivation? And how do you get there? So, has anybody other than me read this book, The One Thing? Have you read it?
Yes, ma'am. It's one of the first books you told me about.
Okay. Who we are and where we want to go determine what we do and what we accomplish. Guys, one of the best books I have ever read. And not just for my business, but for my personal life. My one thing was I didn't have one thing. And I've told a few of y'all, I was like just a big bowl of spaghetti. And I was trying to do a whole bunch of one things, which I thought they were all important. But you tend to not be the best at the one thing you really want to achieve if you got too many things going on in that flash pan. Okay, so that's what that book about. It will hone you in your life and help you, I guess, organize your life to focus on the one thing. That's basically, I just told you the book. But I was going to do a door prize if everybody would stay on camera today. If everybody stays on camera throughout the entire class, your name's going to get thrown in a door prize to get this book. Little incentive there, because I feel like I'm just going to tell you all a little secret about me. When I'm on Zoom, and I'm on Zoom a lot at this company, and when I go off camera, I'm not even in the room. I'm just going to be honest. I'm letting my dog outside, going to the bathroom. I mean, so I'm telling the truth. So I really want y'all to get something out of it. And if you go off camera, I don't think you're here. So anyway, let's move on. So let's see. Why is it important to set goals? I'm going to let Annie go because I've got a big class today. It's overwhelming. Let's see who I can choose. Annie, why do you think? Why do you think it's important to set goals?
I've always set goals because I know that you get lax if you don't have those goals set. You kind of fall back and let yourself fall out of doing what you need to do at the time.
Yeah,
Me, I have to have goals to keep me moving forward.
okay. So true or false, guys? I'll read you something. True or false? It's important to set goals because the opposite of this quote is also true. What you do and what you accomplish determines who you are and where you go. If your activities do not have a guiding goal, you're likely to be very busy and not have a lot to show for it.
That's exactly right.
True or false? All right,
true.
that's true. The mission of Keller Williams is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. None of those things just happen. Setting goals that matter means doing work that matters. When our work matters, we tend to do more of it, and we will do it well. So, do you agree that when you part of achieving goals, you got to work hard? Camera people, you're
Yeah,
on the
absolutely.
spot. Yeah, we can all agree on that. If you don't put any time and effort in achieving that goal, do you think you'll achieve it? All right, so look at this graph. What else is important to setting and meeting goals? Thinking big is your answer. You don't get big outcomes thinking small. When we talk about thinking here, we're talking about thinking big, setting goals, and thinking big on how to reach those goals. So what are y'all doing? Who has already set a goal that's on camera? You come off of mute. What's a goal you set and what are you doing to start working on achieving it?
Well,
For
my
me,
goal-
this is, oh, go ahead.
That my goal is to do 12 houses by the end of the year, and I'm just doing a lot of floor duty and open house.
Is that Roxanne?
Yes,
Hey, how is your open houses going?
I actually haven't had any in the last couple of weeks, so I've just been doing floor duty at the office. And I've had a few listing appointments on Saturday evening from that.
All right, so let me ask you another question. What are you doing when you're employed when you're there at floor duty? What things are you doing?
I'm either making phone calls, doing ad campaigns, emails, and continuing education.
Cool.
That's awesome. So you're utilizing your time while you're hoping for a walk-in, is that correct? All right. Anybody else? Somebody was chiming in.
Yep, this is Marissa.
Marissa.
For me, I was expecting to do at least 5 houses by Christmas.
Okay. And I see you've been doing some open houses because I follow you guys on Facebook. How's your open houses been going?
Good. Actually, the one that we did yesterday, we had quite a few people come in. It was a little different than my first ever open house because this one we had so many questions. And I'm just assuming it's the different location maybe, but we had a lot of questions about the HOA, as well as just the actual house and updates. So it was kind of on your toes and know exactly what you're, standing in and knowing how to answer those questions for them.
Right. So remember in that class, on open houses, we talked about really knowing your product. And open house preparation starts on the Monday before the Sunday. Remember that? So that would fall into information gathering on the house itself. And if ever y'all have an opportunity, even if it's listed by another agent here and they invite you to do an open house, always ask that agent, do you mind if I call your seller? Because the seller knows more about that house than the agent, right? And I'll never forget, at one of the open houses, I called the seller. It was another open house when I got started. And they had a couple secret compartments in the house of secret storage. And honestly, I would have never known it existed because it was behind the master closet. But I found that out by talking to the seller. And then I was able to, show it off in the open house. So that's great. Great stuff, Marissa and Roxanne. All right. So how big is your box? See this thinking and then time and effort, and then what, how, and who, and the line with the actions. So if you're not creating big, you're creating an artificial ceiling of achievement. There are only so many hours in the day. There's only so much any one person can do in those hours. So don't limit yourself by thinking small. So many new agents limit themselves right away. Maybe they don't call their sphere and just hope business will just walk in that door. So the reason I asked you that, Roxanne, is while you're there, to utilize the time, because you have to be there anyway, start making calls to people on your phone.
Mhm.
And I literally watched a couple of people upstairs, and they were doing what I call banging calls. I mean, it was like crazy. So they were just going in their phone and calling the next person. And it didn't matter if they lived in another state or not. They were just saying, hey, I'm in a conference and we're calling everybody in our phone. And I'm just saying, you must be special because you made my phone. How's it going? What's up? What you doing? Because even though they might have moved away, they probably still know people where? Here. So even though you're checking up on them and maybe trying to get their email by the end of the call, and hey, if you know anybody here listening and selling or moving away like you did, I would love to be able to help them. You know anybody like that? I mean, it was just crazy. And I sat up there for about 20 minutes and I watched 4 different agents call randomly in their phone, and they got 3 leads out of it. It was crazy. So that's some neat stuff you can do when you're, trying to cultivate your sphere that's in your phone, updating, and then they feel like they're important because they're on your phone too. So don't limit yourself by thinking small. Next. All right, activity time. Envision your big, my big life. We're going to do an activity that will envision your big life. Once you have that vision in place, then you can set meaningful goals that will bring you closer to that life. Once you have the goals, we can talk about how to reach them. It all begins with your vision. So turn to page 3 in your participant guide. On each of the 5 rectangles, write a person or cause that you care about. So what would you like to do for that person or cause? And then you're going to repeat for each rectangle. An example is maybe you want to be able to care for your parents as they age, send your kids to school without a debt, or pay for a vacation for you and your very best friend. That's funny. Not a vacation for you and your family, but a vacation for you and your best friend. I love that. You must be into my life right here. Okay, for a cause, perhaps you would like to be named supporter for your local animal shelter, or serve on the board of a charity that you care deeply about. You can be one of the people you care about. Perhaps your big life includes prioritizing your health so you have more time and energy to give or paying off your student loans. Guys, the point is there's no wrong answers. Then in that box, you're going to include an estimate of how much each action would cost. Okay, follow me here. I know this is a lot. In the center circle, quantify what this big life requires financially. How much would these things cost? Some parts of the big life will require time as well as money. I'm going to remind you as a business owner, which y'all are all business owners, you're going to need to budget time in terms of money as well. So what will you need to make to be able to spend more time doing the things you love? So the rectangles represent your big life, and the center circle is going to end up being the quantity of all the money you put in there. That's going to be your monetary goal. So take a few minutes. How y'all doing? All right. Who would like to volunteer a couple of their rectangles?
This is George.
Hey, George.
Good morning. Hey, I've got a couple. The two that I have, my number was pretty big, actually. I was surprised. Buy my mother a house and then donate to a cause in Virginia Beach called Vanguard Landing. So that's about $250,000 for the two. And then I've got the three others.
So what was the cause in Virginia Beach? I didn't hear you.
Called Vanguard Landing. It's community living for people with Down syndrome, learning disabilities. My son's wife's mother is the founder, and we've been working with them for a couple years on it.
That's awesome. I haven't, I know a lot about Virginia Beach. I hadn't heard of that. So thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Marissa.
Hey,
Yes, so my first small one is to put our girls through private Christian school.
yeah. That,
I got 2 in there. It's not easy.
at LCA? Yeah. It's
I just put $1,500 out today for 1 month.
wow. Okay, so that's more than a couple houses. And any other one, Marissa?
Yep, and then I want to also help get my husband started with a drone business. He actually does drone images and things, so we want to get that started as a full-blown business.
Okay, so guess what? My daughter's best friend's husband runs a drone business in Florida. If you want me to get his number for you, to have your husband call him, he started
Yes.
it from the ground up. That might be a great conversation to have.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Get with me later and I'll get you his number.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
So guys, what does this exercise do?
Put some perspective, what you need to do, how much hard work you need to put in to get there.
Right. It makes you really truly think about, what are we doing this for? I mean, it's your why. And everybody's is going to look a little bit different, right? So is Riley on the call? Okay, so this is good. And here's the thing that I'm going to tell you, and don't freak out. They're going to change, because for me, I would say a floating box where all of a sudden something can happen in your life that was not anticipated whatsoever. And then that becomes now a priority in a new box. So, you might have a floating box out there. Just life is unexpected sometimes. All right. So now you have a vision and you have a goal. Let's look at what it means to achieve that through real estate. Okay, so where does it go? I can't believe they got me teaching this one. You can slice up $1 pretty quick in this business. So the first thing you need to know is, how do your commissions even work? Many new agents, they get that first check at their first closing, and then they pocket it and they get all excited about the money, right? And then they get in trouble down the line. So let's talk about where the money goes and how much you will actually be going toward your goal. These numbers are very general, and guys, it's just an example. So it's going to vary. So if you're on the seller side of a transaction, half of the commission goes to the buyer agent, right? So you got a listing, and let's just, for kicks and giggles, say it was a 6% listing. So 3% just went out the door because another agent brought. So now we're down to 3. And then you have, I don't know, maybe about a third going to the market center to cover the company dollar. the franchise, royalty, and fees, MLS fees, et cetera, et cetera. So you paid your market center, and another third goes back into what? Your business. Covering marketing, operating expenses, signs, your card, your cell phone, and anything else that you need to grow your business, right? So am I supposed to be clicking? Oh, I'm supposed to be clicking. Okay. Finally, you get your share with a caveat. You take home, your take home now includes your taxes, and then you need to put money away for what? Your taxes. You do not want to have a year's worth of work wiped out because you failed to make a plan. So, average sales price is 300,000. Your gross commission income is 3%, $9,000. You see how fast that $9,000 went away? Quick. So I used to tell people that first house, you've made no money. That's back into your business, right? So yeah, now your goal is to get to that second house to start making money. The first house and commission is just paying all your expenses to be a realtor.
If it even pays, depending
Depending upon
on what you sell.
what you sell. Perfect, Annie. So examples have been provided read on the slide. Please update the information. So our objective is to get real about tying your business to your goals. All right. In your market, the average sale price of a home is, I think I just looked at this. Was it for Lynchburg? Was it 240? Because it went up.
Near the mid twos, yeah.
All right, let's do $250,000. Well, we're gonna do what this is because it's already up here. So they did $300,000, okay? I'm all over the place. Let's see.
Sorry.
Hold on, my mouse. There it is. Hold on, I'm looking for my mouse. I need some cheese. All right, I'm gonna have to do this.
I can see it on that screen.
You can?
Yeah.
Why did that happen?
Yeah, I see it there.
Look, it's going. Try, please help. Hold on, I have
It's showing up on that screen fine, so it's.
what is it? There, I saw it.
Going up to 12 and click on.
I know, it's working on that screen. I'm not sure why it's not working on this screen. You might just have to turn around and look.
Okay,
Probably you just won't figure it out.
yeah.
Here's a touch screen.
Sorry, guys, technical difficulty. There, she found it. She brought the cheese. All right. All right. So you got the average sales price, 300,000, gross commission income of 9,000. Okay. Okay. So market center and company dollar, 27,000. This is not us. So we are a market center of 18. So this is somebody that's probably in Northern Virginia. Okay. I'm going to do my own math because this is just totally going to confuse you. So if you're in Northern Virginia, this is what it would look like. So if you had a net income goal and a company dollar and royalty cap of 30, which ours is 21, 18 in the 3, okay? So if your net income goal was to make $100,000, don't look at the 30, think of 21. How much business expenses do you think you'll have?
I don't know, I run out 3 tanks of gas this weekend.
Okay, it's about a third, guys. It's about a third. Okay, so just put another 30. So you add up your total GCI. So we did 30, 30, so ours is going to be 21, 30, 51, so 151. And if your average GCI was the 9,000, which it's probably going to be a little lower. So 151, let's do 7,500. Are y'all following me in my way of thinking? So let's see, it was 151 divided by 7,500. So it's still 20. However you slice it, it's about 20. So your annual transaction goal is about 20 units. So a little less than 2 a month to make $100,000. But a lot of people don't see that because they forget. What do most agents forget about? Because it's rolling and they're paying for it all the time. What do they forget about in this formula?
Business expenses,
Yes.
keeping the mileage, because if you don't keep that mileage, it's gonna hit you.
So keeping your mileage, business expenses, guys, they have, I took a class when, and I'd have to see who would offer this, but it's a class on basically, well, I was in the MREA on budget model, which we missed, but budgeting and a tax class. So learning what can we write off? And guys, you got to be so good on your mileage expenses. And, you know, from the time you live, and a lot of accountants say your mileage doesn't really start until you leave your place of business. So you got to be careful. If you're not writing off any place in your house, and if you live close to the market center, like Jennifer Pack, for example, you live very close to here.
She's not on anymore.
She's not on anymore? Okay, well, she would use the market center as her start, coming back to her market center, right? Because that's what accountants want to see. Place of business, you go out all day, so you run some personal errands throughout the day, and it's on your way to another appointment. Can you write that off?
Yes.
Yes, because you folded that in. But I would get a notebook or go to like Staples or anything and get a little calendar. Let me show them that. That's exactly what I used. So this, see this, guys? This is exactly what I did. And a good accountant will tell you, if you do this for like an entire quarter, in your first year, do it every quarter, and then pick your biggest quarter of all your mileage, they will let you, the IRS will let you pick 1 quarter of that highest mileage and times it by 4. So you don't really have to do it the other of the month. But you didn't hear me say that. I would still track it in case you ever audited. And another good thing to do is, your MLS sheets that you're pulling to show property, keep them all by date, and write like your mileage on that if you forget. And then you can go back and kind of double back the night before and figure out your mileage for the day. And I did the cheat. I would just start my mileage at the beginning of the year on January 1. I'd write down what is my mileage. And I didn't want to pay Uncle Sam taxes on making my car a business expense. So miraculously, I did 51% personal miles to still get off the personal tax rate. And I did 49% of my miles in business. It just miraculously worked that way. So I did it backwards. I did January 1 to December 31. I took off 51%. I took 49% of that total mileage. And I said that was my mileage for the year. And then I'm on camera, so can't say, but this is great. I was just like write my mileage. And then miraculously for 15 years of real estate, I had 49% in business miles. But
I also write down coming here for this class. I have to come to this class.
yeah, but if you're taking a client through Starbucks and getting them coffee, that's a write-off. If you're buying paper for your computer, that is a business expense. Pencils, school supplies for your kids.
Ink is-
You roll it into purchasing ink for your printer. Those are business expenses. So I know I'm getting kind of off of focus, but
I just
there's a
spent-
lot of way to have write-offs in this business.
I spent $168 yesterday just in school supplies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
So this is setting your goals in command. That you'll learn in the economic model with the MREA. Or not. So we're going to go to the 80-20 principle. The point of this whole conversation is not to be discouraging. I know it looks discouraging when you slice up that dollar bill, but it's to show you the reality and what's really needed to succeed in this business. So as long as you're focusing your time and your efforts in the business activities, you will get there. Okay. So in the 1940s, quality control manager, Dr. Joseph Duran, documented a life-changing universal principle, and he called it vital few and trivial many. The idea was that a relatively small percentage of your efforts lead to the vast majority of your results. He attributed some of his findings to the statistical work of the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who had observed that 80% of the wealth in this country was owned by 20% of the population. As fate would have it, that broadly embraced principle came to be known as the Duran's Law. But Pareto's principle, these days we simply call it the what? The 80-20 principle. The idea that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results may be one of the most powerful principles you can apply to your life. It's about getting the most from your time and effort and maximizing your results and having what? Focus. Does anyone know what we mean when we say big rocks? Does anybody know what that means? I know you probably heard of it. Okay.
it means prison, they make them in small rocks.
Oh, Lord have mercy. I hope y'all didn't hear that. Okay, so think of your day, and this would have been a great opportunity. I had all these rocks in the sand and stuff. So y'all might have seen this done, but think of your day as a jar. You got a glass jar. And if you put in your big rocks first, okay? If you put your little rocks, your sand, your gravel in first, you won't have any room for what? Your big rocks. So your big rocks are the most important activities in your day, which those that cannot be skipped. Like, would your big rock, Annie, be picking up your child from Christian Academy? Wouldn't that be a big rock?
Yeah.
Because if you forget and you put in a whole bunch of sand and little rocks, you don't have time to pick up your kids. So that's gotta be a big rock, right?
That's why I had to make a big rock for today to make sure I'm back in time to take them to golf.
Right. So, your little rocks are what we call distractions, okay? And smaller tasks that need to be done, but aren't necessarily gonna get you closer to your goal, okay?
Not our big thing.
So what's the one thing you can do right now that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? So another way to identify your 20% is to ask that question, what's the one thing? Anybody wanna? What's the one thing you can do right now that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? Anybody wanna take a stab at that? So Annie said, organize. All right. I'm gonna run through this. I'm never gonna finish. Okay, guys, we're going to the 411. At Keller Williams, we have a tool for tackling our big rocks and ensuring all our activities tie back to our goals. It helps us focus. It's called the 411. Turn to page 7 in your participant guide. Identify one of the 5 rectangles from your big life. That's the exercise we already did today. So identify one of them. All right. And we're going to focus on that. While all the elements in your big life are important, select one that's the most urgent or would make the other parts of your vision easier. For example, paying off a student loan debt. Your big life vision will involve professional and personal goals. We're focusing on professional goals for this particular exercise. So pick a professional one. All right. So does everybody have one that they can use for this exercise? Yes, no, maybe, perhaps? Anybody? Marissa?
Yep, I have one for my weekly goal.
All right, we just need, we need a professional goal. And so you pick that. So here's the question. What do they need to achieve to make this part of the lifestyle? How much do you need to make this year to survive? How much extra is needed to like pay off that student loan or whatever that goal is? This is going to be your annual goal that you're going to put at the top of your 411 action sheet. Okay. Look back at your get paid worksheet. It must be in your book. Will doing this get you closer to your goals? How much will you need to make this year and this month? And how many appointments, how many transactions? So it's setting up these little mini goals by the week to get to that big annual goal. And this is just a guide, guys. Some people use it, some people don't. The ones that do, it's a little bit of self accountability. Right? So when would you be making these goals? Is Roxanne still on here? Okay, Roxanne, you put 12 transactions this year,
Yes,
okay? So did you compute that to an annual goal? Like if you took an average, did you equate that to a monetary goal?
I did not.
Do you think you should?
Yes, but when I said that, I didn't know, I just said, because this was in June and I was like, I can do 2 a month. So I can do 12 in the year. So I had no idea what average was, what was going on or anything else.
So what this is teaching you guys, if your big why, that guy in the circle was, let's just say it came to $150,000. You gotta back into it
Mhm.
based on your, the company dollar, all of the stuff that goes into it. So you gotta know, and we came up with just 20 transactions, right? 20 transactions, but you gotta have a number. 20 transactions in Northern Virginia is gonna look a lot different than 20 transactions in Lynchburg, Virginia. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So we might need to get to your goal 24 transactions. If your average, you got to figure out what that average dollar is. So if one of you on here is only really focusing on first-time home buyers, a first-time home buyer average house price is not 240, guys. That might be 150 or less, right? So if that's your focus, you're going to need more than 20 transactions. Okay, this is just getting y'all to know where you need to market, know how many houses, and it's fine. I love first-time home buyers, but you're just going to have a little bit more transactions if you're probably in the second home buyer, right? So this is just trying to make y'all think and set goals for your business. And don't lose focus. So the reality is day-to-day life of successful agents should be quite repetitive. All right. Get into a routine, making the calls, doing your notes, doing your pop buys. And I'm telling you, it pays in spades. People forget about who you are unless you're touching them some way. That goes back,
Get what you're doing.
and they'll forget what you're doing. Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. That's back in the one thing. Goals without accountability are just wishes. Wow. We're more likely to do what we've said we're going to do if we have to answer to somebody. That's when I said pick an accountability partner. All right. Thank you for all your hard work on this section of Spark. I hope you're feeling empowered to reach some goals to reach your big life. Okay, so here's just a reminder each day. And some people, this is overwhelming for some people. Cut it in half if you need to. But 5 contacts a day, 5 conversations a day, 5 handwritten notes. If you are watching your favorite show on Netflix or, whatever, can you not write some handwritten notes and listen at the same time? Multitask a little bit. Are you out there previewing homes of a neighborhood that you want to start focusing on? Are you making appointments, showing appointments for yourself? All you got to do, guys, say, like to show the house at 4 o'clock. You do not need to say it's for yourself. You're familiarizing yourself with that area to get knowledge of what's out there. Are you getting ready to do a CMA for a listing coming up in 2 weeks? If you haven't gone and looked at every property in that area, how do you know what it looks like inside? How do you know how to justify that number? This knowledge is power in this business. So work on your scripts. There's always something to do. If any realtor said I didn't have anything to do today, please call me. I'll give you an assignment. There's plenty to do. Okay, this is role play, script practice. What time do we have?
5 to 11.
It's 11. We're gonna jump to our other, don't forget about do not call list. Guys, if we were all in person, the role play is really better effectively when you're in person. It just is. Okay. Does anybody want to ask me anything about contracts? Because they just said something about a contract practice.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
If you have one that is under construction. And it's being sold by a individual, it's for sale by owner. How would you go about that with the contract? You'd still write it up as construction?
It's under construction and it's a for sale by owner. How's a for sale by owner doing new construction?
It's when he's redoing the house.
Oh, that's not new construction.
No, it's not. new
No, that's
construction,
that's a regular contract.
So it's just a regular
Yeah.
contract and you just write in everything that he needs to finish?
Pretty much.
Just take a notebook and write every single,
That's right.
just making sure, because that's what I've been doing is just writing down every single thing and
That's right.
what they've agreed on that he'll put in and all that before we do the contract.
Okay.
That's correct?
Yes. Financial lawyer again.
What happened?
Huh?
What happened?
I want to get to the buyer consult. All right, guys, moving on. Get rid of all those. Go over to presentation. There we go. All right. All right, guys, we're moving to buyer consultations. some reason. Can you help me? It's not talking to this. This is what I got. I'm wrong. What did you hit present? I hit fire presentation. Is this it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Welcome to today's session of buyer consultation. All right, guys, let's be honest. We've been through all this. I'm not going to bore y'all. So you've cultivated a lead and now you have a buyer. Okay? Do you think you need a buyer consultation? Do most people do it on the phone?
Yes.
Okay, so old days is one way, this day is another. So you're gonna find out really quick a couple of things. First and foremost, how are they paying? Never set yourself up and assume that they need a loan. Just by, you know, a cover of a book, what is it? You can't judge a book by its cover, because you just never know. So sometimes, to make them feel any better, I ask in the past, will you be paying cash for this transaction? Did you see what I did? I didn't offend them. And they're like, usually they go, I wish. So I right there now know they need a mortgage lender. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, are you already working with a mortgage lender? No. But we know we want to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. We want to be in this area. Well, have you already been pre-qualified? Because what you don't want to do, guys, is start spinning all your wheels to somebody that wants to go look when they might not be ready. Are you doing them a disservice by not asking these questions?
Especially new home buyers don't realize that they need to be pre-approved. at what they-
Seems like the more information you'd have, the better off the whole process would be, both for you and the buyer.
That's correct. So I want y'all to think about it like this. You are there as a service. So what you're doing is helping them. And if you can get into that mindset that you are there as a service to help them, to be their instrument, to guide them, this is the biggest financial decision that they will be making in their lifetime. So you don't want to not only waste your time, you would hate to waste their time or to crush their dreams and wishes that cannot even be a reality. But at the same time, what if you find out, well, I'll tell you what, I've got 3 different people that I'd like you to call to sit down and see what are you most comfortable with. Never offend them that, you know, you can't afford that. Never say stuff like that, because some people, they have their big why too. And even though they might have a W-2, of 60,000 a year and their wife makes 30,000 a year, in your mind, they might have a car payment. In your mind, you're kind of doing the math because you start doing this a little while, but you don't know what they're comfortable with. They might have that mother-in-law in Virginia Beach that this is how they tithe. They are taking 10% off the top to support a charity, and they're just not comfortable with what they qualify for. But these are conversations that they would have with the mortgage lender. So don't assume, even when that mortgage lender says, Alice, your couple you sent me, they qualify for a $300,000 house. And they have the money down, but you might get back with them and say, okay, I got your pre-approval letter. This is what if we bought today and you locked, this is what your mortgage payment would be. Is this something you're comfortable with? Because the answer might be no. That's still going to be tight for them because of how they live. So just know when you're having these consultations, this is their life. Keep that in mind. All right. So you got to set the appointment. They're saying do a script for that. Everybody is going to, and I encourage y'all, look at the scripts, look at them, practice them. Please do not read a script. These are people. And I got to tell you, it has backfired on so many agents when they think they're dealing with a robot. So be yourself. Think about, is Marissa still on?
Yes.
Marissa, I always go back to you because one of your whys was like, I went through all these agents and I don't even feel like they were listening to me. So think of Marissa's story. Are we listening in these buyer consultations? Are we really listening to what their needs are and what they're most comfortable with? And I assure you, if you get on their level and pretend like they're your own family and how you would want to be treated, you're going to have a win-win. You will. So creating a presentation, I think it's good in the beginning. In the beginning, I think it is really good to have a carte blanche buyer presentation of what you're going to do for them. But at the end of the day, what, in my opinion, I'm going off script. What is probably more important than that presentation?
The things that you heard from them.
Annie said it. Did y'all hear her, what she said? How they're being treated. How they're being treated.
No matter what you tell them, if you don't follow up.
And guys, if they start feeling like this is a transaction rather than a relationship, you caring genuinely about them getting their dream, they're going to see it. So my best thing is don't focus on the money. That the money will come. Focus on treating them well. But the presentation is, this is what Keller Williams does. We have these apps. Here's the app, put it on the phone. There's a location service. So when you're driving around, teaching them, helping them, but make them feel important. And you know, and what you're look at that, your needs come first. So it's gonna set the tone for your relationship with them. And it's also gonna do what? If you're treating them so well, what's gonna automatically happen if you're treating them so well?
Going to refer you to someone else.
I feel like Annie is my cheerleader today. They're gonna refer you to someone else.
You almost feel
Right?
like I'm only one class, don't you?
Yeah, you're gonna get leads off of them because you treated them so well, right? So did Marissa refer those 2 other agents she worked with to anybody? No, she went and got a real estate license because they stunk. Because she was not treated like she wanted to be treated. So thanks, Marissa, for telling me your why. I'm gonna use it for the rest of my life. So anyway, so back to, all right, I've kind of been talking about that. So what's your wish list? That's a good one. In your presentation, take out a piece of paper, guys, and say, what's your wish list? And in no particular order, this is a great exercise. I used to do this. So they start giving you your wish list, right? Then you repeat it. So out of your wish list, what's the most important? They're gonna always hone it down to, well, we really, really, really need 3 bedrooms. I know we only have 1 child now. We want to expand our family. And I mean, 4 would be great, but for now at this home, we really need 3. Or we really need 4 because I work from home. I really need that home office. That is so important. So you know that 4th bedroom in that scenario is extremely important, right? And then their wish list might be a fenced-in backyard or a yard that can be fenced in for their golden retriever that likes to run and play. But if you don't ask what their wish list is, what are we doing? A whole bunch of assuming? Oh, I need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And you start going out and look. You don't know if they need a yard. You don't know if they can't stand neighbors. You don't know if it's a postage stamp lot. You don't know. I mean, my God, you better know a little bit about your buyer and what their why is, right? So these things are important. So ask them about the wish list. Let's see. I'm not doing that. Because just talking will help you. Okay. All right, guys. Who knew that I was tested? Do y'all know what being tested is? Roxanne, are you still on the call?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I want you to listen up because you do floor duty right there in Bedford. Testers will either call you or they're random walk-ins off the street. Okay. And they will start asking questions about fair housing, but they won't put it like that. They'll say, Roxanne, we're already qualified with, and they throw out a name, and we're looking for an agent to help us see property, but we want a neighborhood that doesn't have any kids. No, it's not okay. That's familiar status. So you say instantly, well, let's just go over your wish list and see exactly, and we can talk about that, but we really can't talk about that because I don't know of I wouldn't know. And we have this thing called fair housing and familiar status. So I can do facts about the house. Like if you want a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, we can look at that. If you want to be zoned for a particular area close to work, like within a 3-mile radius, what I will do for you is pick up all the neighborhoods that fit your criteria of that house. And then you can make the determination if that would be a fit for you. How does that sound? Okay. They start saying, I don't want to be in a neighborhood with a whole bunch of older people, or I prefer people of my same race, or it's crazy stuff they come up with. But be careful not to be pigeonholed in any of those fair housing things. Because I'm telling you, I can smell a tester. I've been tested. I actually passed. You get a report from the state. It goes straight to your broker. Your broker sits down with you and says, do you know you were tested on this date, this time, and this who did it? These people got me all the way to showing them property, and they drove separately and said, all kinds of things. So I felt so uncomfortable after an hour in. I said, if all due respect, I don't think this is going to work, and I'd prefer you to get another agent because you're making me feel uncomfortable with some of the questions. So I bowed out, and they were looking at $350,000 houses, and I bowed out because I felt they were uncomfortable. Come to find out, they were testers, so they weren't going to buy anyway. But anyway, just be careful.
Now, if they say they wanted a 55 or older, then you can do with no children, because that's.
If they qualify and one of the two is 55, one of the person purchased on the deed, you have to look at the restrictions. So a lot of 55 and older, one of the persons on the deed has to be 55. Okay. But look, make sure you look at their
If
policy.
somebody does want that, you're allowed to look for that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So this is just how buying a home works. This is actually a great chart, guys. Do y'all have this in your book? Annie?
I'm looking right now. Yes.
Okay.
Page 14.
Guys, look at page 14. This is really, really good. At the beginning, partner with another agent. Guys, do y'all know we have agents here at Keller Williams that are independent agents, but they've been in this business. I'm thinking of a lady at the lake. They've been in this business, God, 20 plus years, and they still partner with another agent. A lot. Just because they want, if they're ever away, they would rely on the other agent to be there. So partnering with another agent, you can still do that and not be on a team. And you just what? You share the commission. But it's sometimes great to partner with another agent. So anyway, this is just great. So look over this in your free time. Get pre-approval for a loan. We just talked about that. Finding the new home. Nix the homes that don't meet the mark. Schedule home tours. Show them the houses that fit in the criteria. Then you're gonna make the offer. You're gonna negotiate the terms. Remember at the beginning when y'all met with me, what did I tell y'all to do while y'all were getting your real estate license? To start building your what?
Sphere of influence.
The what? Your vendor
Sphere of
list.
influence.
Yes. And in that sphere of influence, this is going to be your greatest thing since sliced bread. Having those 3 mortgage lenders, there's 3 home inspectors, those 3 closing attorneys, the 3 termite inspectors, 3, and I say 3 because Somebody's gonna fail you guys. I hate to say it. In this business, somebody's gonna fail you. And if you're relying on one and not offering options for your buyer to, at the end of the day, choose, and something goes in that transaction wrong, they're gonna, it could be a problem for you. I've been to court with an agent with using her E&O insurance, and she got slapped a heavy fine for not offering options. And them think, that the buyer felt like they were forced to use a particular mortgage lender, a particular closing person, they told that judge that they didn't feel like they had options. Don't be that agent. Offer choices. So what I would do, a lot of y'all are still new, and I know you're building your sphere and you're out there to make money, but one of the best things you could do for your business is get your power of threes and coffee with them. Invest in these people on your list. So I would have an appointment with one of your threes in all those categories, at least. If you're not meeting with a new person to build in your vendor database once a week, you're missing the mark. Stop by their office. Take them lunch. Guess what? They have people that they run into that need an agent. I hate to say it. And if you're investing in them, they're going to invest in you. All right. So, all right. Remember what our belief system is. Do y'all remember what our belief system is? Win-win or no deal, integrity, customers, commitment, communication, creativity, teamwork, trust, and success. Okay. This is an example of a bio, and you have a value proposition. And George, he actually sent me his to review. It was fantastic. But George, do you mind coming online and saying how that went down after I reviewed it? Do you mind sharing?
No, that was fine. Yeah, I mean, I had sent mine and your recommendations to kind of go away from third person to first person and make it more what was that? I forget the word, but it was very helpful because it took it from a very dry and informal to a more personal thing. It also helped me understand some of the things that you recommended around sharing information maybe that you shouldn't, and giving yourself a broader reach instead of kind of focusing yourself into a single location. So I thought it was very good having someone else at least look at it and provide feedback on it.
All right. So guys, I'm your team leader. I want y'all all to be millionaires. I would love it. I would just love for all y'all. I want y'all to achieve your big why, and I'm here for you. So if you're still working on your bio or if you want some feedback, use me as a resource. I'd love to look at it, and I probably need to actually update mine because my why's changed quite a bit. But it's don't I use the word pigeonhole a lot. Sometimes it's good to be relational but not be too personal. George is a fantastic example where he has so much experience in so many areas. I just told him to take out where he lives because Nobody needs to know where he lives, right? And he could do business in Blacksburg and Christiansburg and Roanoke just as good as a person that lives in Roanoke, but they might not feel comfortable maybe using George as an agent if they knew he lived in Charlottesville, because they don't think he's local. So I just said, George, take it out. They don't need to know that. Your experience is where your experience is, right? So yeah, use me as a resource on your value proposition. And where is this? Where's that? Like, where would they see this?
I think everything in those slides is in the buyer,
The buyer
presentation, yeah.
presentation? Okay. So
Yeah,
this
that's on
is
page
something-
16.
Page 16, okay.
Yes.
This is good to do your value proposition if you're sitting in front of a buyer going over basically what you do. But again, it's gonna all be back down to the how you're treating people. Who's used a buyer presentation yet? I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people do not use them. I think it's good to always have one.
Didn't even know.
Yeah. But I mean, again, this is where I'm gonna caution you to be careful. If they're already your buyer, and I saw this in a lot of KPAs, we did for a lot of agents, we tend to what? Oversell ourselves when we need to just move on, right? So if they've already signed a buyer broker agreement, should we really be worrying about a buyer presentation? They're already your buyer. So move on. But if they're deciding who to work with, it might be good and professional just to have one of these to go over with them. Let me tell you a little bit about me. All right. So, who would like my advice on getting a buyer broker signed when they feel uncomfortable signing it? I get an A+ in this category. Does anybody want an example of getting a buyer broker agreement signed when they're uncomfortable signing it?
Yes, because I got one that I've got to do. I got to get him to sign.
All right, are y'all listening?
They just feel like, oh, if I do that, I'm trapped.
Okay, did y'all hear what Annie said? She's getting ready to approach one and they're in the mindset of, oh my gosh, if I sign this, I'm trapped. So what could Annie do to make them feel a little bit more comfortable? Oh, I'm so glad y'all asked. I'm so glad y'all asked. So this is, it works, guys, every time. So, let me explain to you how real estate works. We're going to be going out showing a lot of property. And when we walk in the threshold of that door, you know, they have a sign out in the yard. And that sign is, they're representing that seller. So let's just pretend that you came off the street and you called that listing agent and you wanted to go see 123 Main Street, their listing. Who do you think they're representing when you walk in that door? Do you think they're representing you? No, because they have a listing agreement and signed to be able to put that sign in that front yard. They are fully representing that seller. Can they represent you? Sure they can, but can you truly represent two people at the same time in the same transaction to the best of your ability? They're going to say no. I usually say, if you were getting a divorce, would you use the same divorce attorney? Oh my God, no. Okay, so before we walk into a house that we're gonna show, you need some representation because I am an advocate on your behalf to get you the best price and to get all the information that I possibly can on this house to represent you well, to get you into this home without you being represented by somebody that's truly representing that seller. So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna show property today and we're gonna sign the agreement that it's gonna start today and then it's gonna end today. So I'm only representing you on these houses. We're walking in the threshold of this door today. And at the end of the day, when you see how well I'm treating you and I'm an advocate for your behalf, we can extend the end date by an initial and change the date. Oh, okay. They sign it. Every single time they sign it, because if they don't sign it, I am not going to spend my day showing them property. If they don't trust in me to represent them, why am I there if they won't sign a buyer broker agreement? I say then I'm probably not going to be the agent for you because this is an investment. You're investing in me to give you my knowledge. And I'm only asking that you sign this for one day. It expires at midnight. I have never, ever, 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 not once had somebody at the end of the day extend that buyer broker agreement for 4 to 6 months out. Not once. But that's what I did.
To get your foot in the door to show them that you really are there for them.
That's right. So call it a, maybe I had to prove myself. I don't know. But what am I not telling you? What's the beauty in it for me? Can anybody come up with what's the beauty in it for me to have a one-day agreement? What if I can't stand them? Think about this. What if they were sourpusses? It was a negative, 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 complaint, complaint, complaint. I felt it in my gut that this relationship is just not going to work. Do I even want to ask for them an extension? No, I do not, because they're going to be a time sucker. And we are just not going to work well together. So I thank them for their time. I appreciate your time. I have another agent in my office that would love to be probably work with you that would be a better suitable fit, period. And I do not extend my buyer broker agreement.
Gives you
So-
a way out.
Gives me a way out. So what is our number one thing in our belief system? I just went over it. I got it off the slide on purpose. What's the W? Our belief system, what's the W? Win, win.
Win-win.
Right, was that a win-win?
Yes.
That was a win-win. All right, there's the KW app. Who does not have the KW app yet?
I use the full out of it.
Okay. Annie
Everyone should have
uses
it.
the heck out of it. So who has already shared it with a potential client? Y'all sharing it out there?
Well, because I was in areas that I really didn't know what was out there. And you just hit that button at the top, that arrow. It gave me everything and I could drive by it all for it. Really worked out for me.
Okay, did y'all hear that? Annie was in areas this weekend where she wasn't really too familiar. And it's not like we can stop every minute and pull out the MLS, especially if you don't even know where you are. So she used the little arrow button at the top, and it pulled up all the active listings for her. Right? Remember what a lot of people forget about KW. It's not just the Lynchburg MLS it's pulling up, because it's intranet ability. So it's pulling up anything that's listed in like realtor.com. All right. And don't forget, if you're not a member of the MLS in which that house is, you have to, you got to get a compensation agreement should you bring a buyer, and your lockbox isn't going to work to pop open that door. So you need to make sure, if you're not a member of that MLS and you want to show property there, you got to get permission because you're outside the MLS. And will they pay you if you show that property and bring them a buyer and get it in writing? And then you're going to have to get access because your super key is not going to open the door anyway.
I found most of them have the other box on there. I
Right.
had one that didn't, they had to come with me.
Okay, so has anybody set up auto, what's it called, Shalaya? I call it
Auto prospect.
auto, like sending automatic listings as they come on the market to a buyer?
I did.
Okay, that's an MLS thing. If you need help with it, me and Shalaya can help you,
Shalon had to walk me through it, but I did it.
okay? And make sure you click the box where it says, send it to myself. Nothing is more embarrassing when your buyer calls and say, Alice, I love this listing that you just sent me. And you're like, what in the world did I just send her? I don't know. But if you're click the box, send to me, you'll know exactly what they're talking about because it'll be right on your email. So click that box so you don't look goofy. All right. All right, guys. I want to talk more about, you see a lot of this stuff's repetitive. Does anybody want to do a role play with me for a buyer consultation? Anybody? All right. So has anybody been using a script to call their sphere?
Yeah, I have. I actually ran I can't even talk today. I ran a campaign on the open house I did on Sunday. So I got a lot of the leads from that campaign, and I actually got a list of they're not in the actual script book because I like the ones in the script book, but they didn't hit everything that I wanted to hit. So I actually have different ones that I got sent from another agent. And I've been using one of those, and I actually have one client that came into the open house that didn't have an agent with that script.
Marissa, what have you done since you met that person that did not have an agent?
So they came into the open house, they had some questions, and then I followed up with them with an email with all the questions they had answered from the seller, as well as I figured out how to go online to the GIS and attach an aerial shot of their plot. And then I also sent them a text to follow up with them, letting them know I sent them the email. So that was just last night after the open house, probably an hour after we closed up at the open house.
Follow up is amazing. And have you had a response from them yet?
Not today. So that was last night. Probably they responded back to me saying, thank you. All that information was super helpful. That was probably about 8 o'clock last night. So I haven't said anything as of yet.
Okay. So this is the perfect time to ask, would you be willing to meet with me so I can gather more information to help on your journey of buying a house?
Okay.
And see if you can't get that appointment of preparing that wish list, man. And then when you get that appointment, that's when you go in for the, explain. A lot of people just don't know what a buyer broker is. They don't get it.
They think if they talk to you, they have to pay you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tell them that, 99 times out of 100, they're not paying you anything to work for them. That the seller, as long as it's listed, that the seller is paying your commission. And that you're doing this, for them at no charge.
Okay.
Because so many, I've seen so many buyers think for some reason it's cheaper for them if they call the listing agent directly. And it is such a shame because those poor people usually have no representation. I hate it. How about
Especially
in,
young people, they
they just
think
don't
that
know.
You're gonna charge them.
Yeah,
What are you gonna charge me to go look at this for me?
Right.
That's what I was asked. And I said, let's talk about what I'm gonna do for you and how it's gonna cost you nothing. And when you did that, then it's like, oh, give me the paper.
yeah. And any other roadblocks out there, guys, that y'all are seeing? To have those buyer consults? Okay, what I just don't want y'all to do, time is money in this business. I don't want you going out there showing a whole bunch of property to people who have not been qualified. You're gonna get caught up in it. We've all done it. Everybody that has been in this business has shown property to somebody where they did not have a pre-qualification. And guys, it's not fair. It's not fair for your family. It's not fair for them. It's not fair for the seller, taking people in their house and not knowing if your buyer's qualified. It is certainly not a win-win. So please don't do it. And just a lot of buyer's agents, they just get scared that they're not going to get this buyer if they ask if they're qualified. Well, that's part of servicing them. But it's just always easier to ask questions. Who, are you going to be paying cash for this? Oh, you're not? Who's the lender who got you pre-qualified? Oh, well, we haven't done that yet. Oh, well, we got to do that first. The sellers require it. I mean, it's they don't want people in their house. Part of me dropping that lockbox is saying I have a qualified buyer for this house. Right? So don't work for free. Serious buyers, guys. And you don't know they're serious unless they have that pre-qualification letter. Pre-approval, I like. I mean, they've already been pre-approved. They've already submitted some paperwork and is a little bit more serious. So any other questions? This is the time. This is training, guys. Any other questions for working with buyers? All right, the Delta variant is ticking me off. So I just heard from some other brokers, you're going to start seeing face mask required again and showing some property and haven't, I know, it's coming back. So, I encourage you to have extra disposable face mask when you're showing property in case your clients come unprepared, not with one. Just have it in little sealed baggies or whatever to give out. Have some hand sanitizer handy, and some sellers are requiring you taking your shoes off or putting those little shoe things back on. So this is their request. We got to do it. So I don't care if you're vaccinated or not. If it's the seller's request or the buyer's request, for me, if I was allowed to list and sell again, I would show up at that initial appointment, probably with a face mask on, and unless they say, oh, we've been vaccinated, have you? Yes, whatever, and they feel comfortable. Just make sure everybody's comfortable and then take it off. I mean, Annie came in today. Do I have to wear this? I'm like, come on back, Annie. We've all either had COVID or been vaccinated. And I said, please make sure you're 6 feet apart, and we are all 6 feet apart in here. And all my mystery people that aren't here today. But, so I'm going to give away this book. And I would say, before I do that, next Tuesday, guys, everybody's invited. Shalaya is going to put the invitation out. This is an in-person event because you can't eat pizza through Zoom. 11 to 2, Gary Keller is going to be on our big screen, live and in virtual person. Is Gary Keller. We're going to supply pizza and salad and soda and water. And please come. Please RSVP to Shalaya. We're going to have some fun. It's very informative. So if you did not buy your own ticket to Mega Camp, and even if you did, that part of Mega Camp is going to be here, 11 to 2. Please come next Tuesday. It's in place of MREA, and we'll still have Ignite next Monday, in person or in Zoom. And who was on the whole time? You already have the book, right?
We got
Who
George
was
and
on the
Marissa.
whole? Huh?
We got George and Marissa.
George and Marissa was on the whole time.
Roxanne left a little bit ago.
George and Marissa, do you have this book?
I don't have
No.
that one.
Huh?
I have the MREA book. But I do not have that one.
Okay. Because I'm going to call it a tie, and each of you got a book.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Because I like making things a win-win, and
Win-win.
Annie already has the book. So congratulations. I was almost going to say, I'd sign it for you, but I am not Gary Keller. But you're gonna, I'm telling you guys, it is amazing. It will actually change your life. It really will. So I love it.
Excellent.
All right, guys, thank you. I hope you're learning something. And I really can't wait to see y'all in person next week,
All righty.
because it was hard for me.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Thank you. Y'all have a great week. And please
thanks.
send out some thank you notes and sphere notes and whatever y'all need to do. Build your sphere this week.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye.